What's more annoying to you, the extreme left or the extreme right?
The left viscerally makes me often want to punch them more, because they're just so often like anti-common sense. So they just insist on championing things that are really about them, but they have to feel like they're social justice warriors. You know, they have to. It's very important for them to feel like they're the good people. And by telling us that we're all bad, that's how they know they're good. People want to voice their opposition to what's going on in any administration. They're not happy with this, they're not happy with that. That's the way to show it. I mean, the Democrats are going to have to work really hard to figure out how they're going to blow this one.
Bill Maher has returned to the spotlight, and he's pulling zero punches. The radical left has exhausted every strategy in their playbook to manipulate the American public. Yet their agenda continues to crash and burn. Maher is cutting through the DNC's calculated failures, and in this breakdown, he strips away the propaganda to reveal the cold, hard truth with devastating precision.
I would like to have a strong Democratic candidate to get things back to a little bit of normal.
Is Newsom the strongest?
He is right now. I mean, again, California, a lot of crazy stuff in this state. We know better than anybody, you know? If somebody breaks into your house and you have to worry that you're going to go to jail.
Right.
You know, lots of stuff like that. Homeless on the streets. I mean, and that's not just California. I've seen a number of people have died in New York, homeless on the street, because somehow they got it into their heads that the way to treat the homeless compassionately was not to get them off the streets. You know, us old school liberals, when we used to talk about this issue, the compassionate thing to do was to make sure they got off the streets, not to protect them in their pristine environment underneath a bridge.
Maher suggests that while Gavin Newsom might represent the Democrats' last hope for holding the White House, he is weighed down by a massive amount of political baggage. During a recent sit-down, Maher pointed out that Newsom has drifted far too into the radical fringe for the average American and warned that a pivot to the middle is non-negotiable. The ultimatum is clear. If Newsom refuses to distance himself from his disastrous, woke California mandates, his 2028 aspirations are dead on arrival. Maher didn't stop there. He highlighted the visible collapse of California under Newsom's watch, exploding homelessness and decaying urban centers, insisting these failures must be addressed if he expects to be taken seriously on a national stage. Maher's bottom line is that Newsom can't just rebrand his optics. He needs to produce actual results, or his path to the presidency will remain blocked.
Old school liberals would like to see a candidate in the Democratic Party who has the strength to disassociate himself from a lot of the stuff that made Donald Trump attractive to people who didn't necessarily like him so much, but just said, you know what? His brand of crazy, yeah, I'm going to go with that over their brand of crazy.
It's not just Gavin Newsom who needs a reality check. Maher contends the entire Democratic establishment needs to purge its radical progressive delusions. He argues that the vast majority of citizens find the far left's rhetoric and policy shifts totally alienating, viewing them as extremist, elitist, and completely detached from the struggles of the working class. From the relentless culture wars to misplaced economic goals, voters are beginning to see these movements as performative theater rather than genuine governance. Maher sounds the alarm. Unless the DNC fundamentally shifts its trajectory, it will permanently alienate the very base required for victory. The party's survival depends on a return to kitchen table issues like a stable economy and safe neighborhoods, rather than doubling down on radical ideologies that the average American finds completely unhinged.
Another huge issue here in California and across the country is immigration. Now we're going to have a partial government shutdown over DHS funding. The Department of Homeland Security essentially not funded, at least part of it now, going forward for the foreseeable future. Is that the right fight for Democrats? And where do you think that should go?
Well, I think ICE and the border people already have the money.
Right.
so no. So I would guess that's not a great way to do it.
Yeah.
Because it's not.
They say that's the only leverage that they have.
Yeah. I mean, again, the leverage they have is to win the next election.
The reality of the situation is undeniable, and Maher hits the nail on the head. Currently, the Democrats are operating with zero leverage against a Republican Party that has successfully seized the House, the Senate, and the Oval Office. With the GOP firmly in the driver's seat, the Democrats are left in a desperate scramble for relevance. Their only hope of reclaiming any semblance of power is to win over the electorate in the next cycle. But Maher insists they are failing spectacularly. He identifies their crippling obsession with woke identity politics as the primary culprit, a move most Americans view as fringe and out of touch. By choosing to fight divisive social wars instead of solving the cost of living crisis and public safety, the party is self-destructing. Unless a massive strategic overhaul happens immediately, reclaiming the majority is a pipe dream.
The numbers do not look good for the president or his party. And usually the party that is in the White House, they take a shellacking during the midterms.
Right.
People want to voice their opposition to what's going on in any administration. They're not happy with this, they're not happy with that. That's the way to show it. I mean, the Democrats are going to have to work really hard to figure out how they're going to blow this one.
Maher's historical analysis is spot on. Under normal circumstances, an incumbent administration struggles during midterms, meaning the Democrats were handed a golden opportunity to regain their footing this time around. On paper, the momentum should have been entirely in their favor, a perfect opening to reclaim lost ground. However, anyone watching closely knows this party has a unique talent for snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. Rather than capitalizing on the public's frustration with the opposition, they get bogged down in toxic infighting and radical policies that scare off moderate voters. Maher highlights their stubborn refusal to drop the woke, progressive labels that mainstream America has already rejected. Until they prioritize the actual needs of the people over ideological purity, they are destined to waste every political advantage they are given.
Let's talk for a moment about your relationship with President Trump, which has been interesting over the years. What's the nature of your relationship with him now? What's that like?
Well, okay, well, first of all, the people who stopped watching my show because I had dinner with them are idiots, in my view. They just are. They're just
Right.
completely emotional because they're always asking the wrong question, which is like, oh, how dare you have dinner with Donald Trump? The question should always have been, what did I say after I had dinner with Donald
Right.
Trump? Now, if after I had dinner with Donald Trump, I came back to this show and was seduced by that dinner, and stopped tearing him a new one every week, every time I thought he did something wrong, then you would have a case.
Maher unleashed a fiery response to the critics who attempted to cancel his show simply because he shared a meal with Donald Trump. He blasted these detractors for being completely ignorant of his actual principles and the value of intellectual diversity. For Maher, the ability to engage in civil debate is the cornerstone of a functioning society. He maintains that talking to those with opposing views is essential, even when it's uncomfortable, because that is the only way to achieve genuine societal progress. His critics, however, prefer the safety of their echo chambers, where they only hear voices that validate their own biases. Maher views this as a terminal illness in modern politics, where complexity is sacrificed for blind tribalism. By refusing to apologize, he is defending the necessity of open discourse in an era of suffocating ideological conformity.
But I never stopped with Donald Trump. So I feel like we, having met him and sat down for 3 hours, it was a long dinner, and the left got very mad at me for reporting it accurately, which is he's very different in person. By the way, everyone who's ever met him says the same thing.
I would say the same thing. I've met him several
Of
times.
course.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But, they just couldn't abide by this, but okay, that's the truth. He met Ma'am Donnie, remember, the mayor
Right.
of New York? He had been yelling and screaming at him, and then he had him to the Oval Office. I think he's a nice guy.
Right.
Don't you get it? He operates everything out of a personal relationship. You have to have a personal relationship. Trust me, he's not upstairs at night reading the briefing books.
The left has spent years systematically misrepresenting Donald Trump, and Maher is calling them out for the fallout. He explains that by constantly portraying Trump as a literal monster and a threat to civilization, the left eventually hit a wall of diminishing returns. Instead of scaring voters away, this relentless fear-mongering created a massive wave of skepticism. As everyday Americans began to doubt the mainstream narrative, they started evaluating Trump based on his actual record rather than the hysteria of his critics. Maher argues that this massive disconnect between the media's talking points and the public's perception actually served as a gift to Trump. The hyperbolic attacks didn't break him. They actually drove voters into his arms, strengthening his movement instead of dismantling it.
So disappointing that some of the people who I think of as rational people, Donald Trump, he does a lot of stupid things. He also makes people stupid. like again, what is the alternative? He's the president. You can't not talk to him. What is the downside? I'm going to elevate him? Oh my God, you mean he could become president? It's just
get a little more attention.
It's silly. And when you do talk to him, he does listen. That's what happened. He does listen. I'm not saying it's going to change him, but what I was trying to say afterwards when I talked about it at the end of last season is he needs more people like me talking.
Bill Maher poses a provocative challenge. What exactly is the left so afraid of in a fair, head-to-head debate with the right? He maintains that honest conversation shouldn't be a source of terror, but rather a tool for healing a fractured nation. Yet, he criticizes segments of the left for being so emotionally fragile that they cannot handle an opposing perspective. He points out that certain progressive dogmas have become sacred cows that no one is allowed to question. This fear, he suggests, stems from the realization that a logical counterargument might actually expose the deep flaws in their own worldview. Instead of using debate to sharpen their positions, many choose to hide in ideological bunkers, avoiding the tough questions and missing the opportunity to actually evolve their thinking.
What's more annoying to you, the extreme left or the extreme right?
The extreme right is more dangerous. Absolutely. They don't believe in democracy. They don't believe that in conceding elections. He's made that plain. The climate thing we just talked about, those are just two issues. There are others. The left viscerally makes me often want to punch them more, because they're just so often like anti-common sense. So they just insist on championing things that are really about them, but they have to feel like they're social justice warriors.
One of the most grating aspects of the radical left is their habit of pushing rhetoric that defies basic common sense, according to Maher. He argues that many of the new rules and stances they demand simply do not align with human nature or logical reasoning, leaving the general public both baffled and irritated. When these ideas are challenged, activists rarely reflect. Instead, they double down with a religious-like fervor. Maher warns that this refusal to engage in reality-based discussion makes compromise impossible. His overarching point is that any political movement that treats its ideas as infallible is destined to fail. True power comes from the ability to take criticism, adapt to the facts, and keep policies rooted in the real world rather than in rigid, unyielding dogma.
I sort of saw both examples with the Super Bowl halftime show, where Kid Rock, who you had that dinner with, was doing his own show, and then Bad Bunny's doing his show. Which one did you watch, and what did you make of that cultural moment for America?
So funny. People were asking me the week before, which one are you going to watch? I said, I'm going to watch the real one, the regular one, like I do every year, and I'm going to honor it the same way by going to the bathroom.
Did you?
Of course, you have to go to the bathroom at some point.
Yeah.
But I watched it. I liked it. You know what? I didn't understand it, but like I said tonight in the show, I don't understand when Mick Jagger sings either. I don't understand any rock star. Nobody's really understandable. I didn't understand Kendrick Lamar very well either. I mean, that's okay.
The Super Bowl halftime show was designed to be a moment of cultural unity, a high-energy musical celebration that everyone could enjoy together. It's supposed to be a brief escape from the high stakes of the game, a universal experience that transcends personal beliefs. However, in our hyper-politicized era, even a pop performance is subjected to a forensic ideological audit. Instead of enjoying the show, viewers are busy hunting for hidden agendas and political signals in every dance move and costume choice. This obsession with turning art into a battlefield is draining the life out of our shared culture. Maher sees this as a symptom of a much larger rot. Nothing is allowed to just exist anymore without being scrutinized through a political lens. He warns the Democrats that this mirror reflects their own party's failures. When you ignore real-world crises to enforce ideological purity, you lose the people. To survive, the party must abandon the slogans, embrace reality, and start providing actual solutions. If you're ready for more unfiltered truth that the mainstream media hides, make sure to subscribe and join our community right now.